Hello, and welcome to The Worst Things Ever, a definitive list of all the worst things in the universe. I almost fucked up there.
Nailed it.
My name's Zack Weiss, number one Tuscan fan, and also Chewbacca Mom. I'm joined by Christian Herrera
Hey, Porg Nation.
and Eric Bayer.
Hi, I'm Chewbacca Baby. What's up?
And we have a very special guest this week. If you couldn't already tell, this is going to be a Star Wars themed episode of The Worst Things
Wait,
Ever.
what?
Yeah,
what?
I know. Like,
What? No, what the fuck? No, I thought this was gonna be the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast for Infinity War. I have all my Marvel Cinematic note picks here, and now I have to. Are you serious? We're doing
Jesus
Star
Christ.
Wars?
Well, we have a very special guest joining us this week.
Fuck!
You may know her from Screen Junkie's Millennial Falcon. We have the super talented, ultra funny Jenny Nicholson with us. Welcome to The Worst Things Ever.
Hey, I didn't prepare like a catchphrase for when you introduced me.
No one does except Zach.
Oh, they were ad-libbed?
Yeah, they're all ad-libbed. Actually, I come up with them like maybe 5
Wow.
seconds before I say them, and
behind the
sometimes
scenes.
they're not very good. This is a little bit of inside baseball for you
Uh-huh.
on these
Okay.
podcasts.
I'd say most of the time.
Right. I just want to pat myself on the back, though, really quick.
Go ahead.
Because this is the best time possible to do a Star Wars topic, because the only movie people are talking about this weekend
Mm-hmm.
is
I don't know. I gotta-
Solo, a Star Wars boy.
Oh,
Zach.
yeah.
I'm by my fireplace right now, throwing the cards for the other thing we should have been doing.
I have Josh Brolin here. He's telling me
Is he in Solo, a Star Wars?
No, he's in a different movie. Zach, you're gonna need to sit down.
Yeah, he's in Deadpool too.
He's-
right.
he
He
plays-
is, isn't he?
He plays Thanos.
The noose. Okay, I don't know what that is. But everybody's talking about Star Wars: A Solo Story, whatever.
Yeah, you got it.
And it's probably because they like showed the pictures, and we got Leet the
Uh-huh.
droid on deck. That's gonna
Denny's.
be my new favorite character. Okay, let's just get right into it. Enough goofing. The first topic we're gonna
Worst
start.
Denny's.
Yes,
item.
worst Denny's add-on item.
Okay.
Go.
Answers already prepared.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Jenny, take it away.
It's definitely the Pop Rocks they give you to put in your
Yes.
milkshake.
Yes, the Pop Rocks are so. They give you way too many too.
They gave me a lot. I dumped the whole thing in my milkshake because I trusted them, and it wasn't good. It ruined my milkshake.
We talked about this last episode because we did worst Oreos, and it was one of the choices. It was Christian's
Pop Rocks
choice.
Oreos, those sound good though, because at least you're already crunching on something when you're eating
Oh,
an
yeah.
Oreo.
Bite down on a.
That's what we were
Rock.
saying.
I don't like drinking
nah.
a smooth milkshake and having gravel hit the back of my throat.
Right. Speaking of which, I don't know what that has to do with the worst Star
Speaking
Wars
of,
movie
of
ever.
gravel and milkshakes.
Right. That I think that was in Dexter's Diner in Attack
Dexter
of the Clones.
Jetster.
Whatever.
What
I
a-
think that was in
what an
Dexter
amateur.
Jettster's Diner in Attack of the Clones, so this is going to be a good segue. Worst Star Wars movie ever.
Okay.
Does anybody have a pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take it
There's
away?
just so many.
Did I go first?
If you want to.
Goodness. Well,
Guest of honor.
and my first question is which ones qualify, because I was thinking of nominating the animated Clone Wars film, which was a
Ah.
theatrically released
Oh
Star
my
Wars.
god. That was going to be my
There you
pick,
go.
but I'll pick
Well,
something else.
but then I really thought about it, and I thought about the respective values of movies as what they're supposed to be, and I realized that The
Damn.
Phantom Menace was a bigger failure on its own terms than the
Right.
Clone Wars movie was. So my pick is The Phantom Menace.
Right. Okay.
hmm
What do you think makes Phantom Menace a failure that we probably don't already know?
Well, yeah, it does seem like a lot of its flaws are obvious. Well, I think the big distinguishing factor, because you said before the show started, oh, there's only really 3 that people will pick. I assume you meant all 3 of the prequels. However, I enjoy watching 2 and 3 because they're not good, but I think they're very fun to watch. I think that the second one has the love story, which has some really campy moments. And then the third one pushes it all the way over the edge. It has a lot of absurd dialogue, ridiculous character moments. All the dialogue in the Obi-Wan and Anakin final battle is so funny. You have Palpatine being himself. And then the Phantom Menace doesn't really offer any of that. I almost consider it unwatchable because you're really just bored the whole time. And it doesn't have a main character. There's no real thread to follow. It's just kind of a collection of scenes. And then I know people always talk about the pod race scene, but I think what really is bad about the pod race scene is the timing of it, because you feel like the movie should be like ending.
It
Like
comes to a
you feel like you should be
standstill.
hitting the climax of the movie. And then instead you do the pod race thing, and then you're like, oh, there's like a battle after this. Like it's gonna keep going for a good long time. Um, so yeah, it goes on and on. It's very dry. It doesn't have like the the silly over the top melodrama of the other two prequels, and I feel like those two also, even though I don't think they're good or like well executed for the stories they're trying to tell, they are at least like a tight linear story with like A plots and B plots. I feel like Phantom Menace just bounces all over the place. And it's not even like A plot to B plot. It's like they go from one story and then all those characters travel together to the next story. It's just like that's not how you really tell stories in movies. You don't have the benefit of like cutaways to keep pacing fast. You're just kind of on a long train ride with an assortment of characters, none of whom are more prominent than the others. So yeah, that's Phantom Menace.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I'll just follow up with your point about the Clone Wars movie, because I don't know, Jenny, you've seen the Clone Wars movie then, yes?
I have. I saw it in theaters.
I saw it in theaters too. Christian and Eric, have you seen the Clone Wars movie?
No, I've seen the show, like a couple episodes here and there, but I have not seen the movie that started it.
I've
Eric?
seen none of it. I've
Oh,
seen
man.
none. Zip.
So-
And they're not real fans then.
Yeah,
No.
they aren't
Not-
really.
no.
They're not.
I'm a
not
big
really
fan of
fans.
everything.
Yeah, I'll just get it out of the way. I like Star Wars. I don't love
Stork?
Star Wars.
Stork,
Wow.
Stork
Stork
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah, Stork Wars.
I like it. I don't love it. So I've seen all the movies and they're cool movies, but Star Wars is not like one of my biggest things.
Well, you haven't seen all the movies, obviously, Eric. If you haven't seen,
Well, I haven't
Clone
seen like
Wars,
the major shit. You know what I mean?
the movie.
Yeah.
Right. The reason I don't like Clone Wars the movie is because it is like 2 episodes, I think, of Clone Wars, like extended out into 2 hours or an hour and a half, however long it is. And
Say 2 episodes. Do you mean like just in terms of like runtime, or there's like 2 episode stories just kind of mashed
2
together?
episode stories.
Yeah, is this
Oh,
like
really?
a failed animated series pilot kind of deal?
Really?
But the opposite of failed, because in theaters, and then they also did the series.
So
Oh, very
the
true.
way I understand it, George Lucas, that was his decision. That was his decision to put out a movie in theaters first to launch like the TV show off the ground. And that movie is just awful. Like, I did not know what I was getting into because I was like, oh, cool, a new Star Wars movie. I'll go check it out. I go into the theater. It's like 99% kids. And I'm like, okay, well, this is already a bad sign.
You were in heaven.
And then they played like the Cinemark like kid thing before instead of playing the, I don't know if you guys have Cinemark, but
What's the Cinemark Kid thing?
well, no. So you
don't
know
understand
they
that.
have Maria Menounos in front of every movie,
Obviously.
but they have like a kids version of that. And then I was like, oh shit, what am I in for? Anyways, I'm getting derailed here, but my point is, it's 2 episodes of the Clone Wars extended out into a movie. It shouldn't have been a movie. It should have just existed on its own as episodes of a TV show. And the problem with it, too, is whenever I talk to somebody about the Clone Wars, I'm always like, you know what? You should check out the Clone Wars. The TV show is really good. Like later on, it gets really cool. The first couple of seasons, not so great, but they're not that bad. The movie is just awful. It's just horrible. Like, it turns you off of the franchise completely. Like, they're jumping back and forth calling each other Sky Guy and Snips, and they don't use that quite as much like the rest of the show. It's just that first like movie. They're saving Jabba the Hutt's son, and they got his uncle
Zero the Hutt.
Zero the Hutt. Thank you very much.
And little baby Rada Hutt.
Rada Hutt, right? And he like barfs a little bit, and he's getting sick, and he's hanging out in Ahsoka's backpack, and it's really
How
weird.
cute.
It is cute. It's very cute.
It is pretty cute. I don't know. That's just as bad as the movies are. I don't know. I feel like they kind of get a pass because they're movies, but like I've seen all the Ewok specials. I've seen the holiday special. I don't think either of those because
You think the holiday special is better than the Clone Wars animated movie?
I absolutely 100%.
When did
think
you
so.
last watch it?
Last December.
Okay, then you're straight up lying.
So listen, you said that Attack of the Clones is good because of the campy romance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that movie is not good. That campy romance stuff is not good. Can we agree on that?
It's not bad either.
I don't know. I think it's pretty bad.
It's boring. It's just kind of like watching an outline of someone's essay.
I feel like I can get more entertainment value out of watching Grandpa Chewbacca put on a VR headset.
Well, but to
than I
get
can-
there, you have to watch like
Yeah.
Wookiee hooting for 30
Right,
minutes.
that's
And like
true. That is
unwatchable
true.
musical numbers.
Yeah, and the acrobats tumbling around while it goes, and you're like, oh, happy Christmas.
Sure, I choose to watch the holiday special multiple times though, and I've never I watched the Clone Wars thing in theaters, and I think I might have watched the first 10 minutes of the thing on Netflix, and I was done. So I don't know. That's just me. But I don't even know if you can count the holiday special as a movie. So I'm
You
just
can.
gonna
It's a
I'm just
TV
gonna
special.
discount it. Right.
Same with
Yeah.
those Ewok movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of movies, but sure.
They're TV movies. They're not in the canon, and Clone Wars is, whether you like it or not.
Here's the thing, though. We don't know if the holiday special is going to be canon or not, because we do see in that Han Solo a boy
legend.
story.
Oh, you're right.
We do see.
We see a girl Chewbacca.
We see girl Chewbacca.
Yeah, but is
so
that
maybe...
his wife? I think not.
Are you saying that Chewbacca's being promiscuous or something? What's going on?
Well, if his
Didn't
wife's
the,
no longer canon, he doesn't have to be promiscuous.
Right,
That's like
that's
an
fair.
annulment.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that could be his wife. We don't know, and so I'm saying that we don't know if that's canon either.
Didn't the Disney company or something make a statement saying that just the movies themselves were canon and that was kind of it and everything outside? What was the
I think
statement?
No,
on that?
it was they invented what's called Star Wars Legends, where they were basically like Clone Wars, and all the theatrical films are canon. None
And
of the
Rebels.
old books or comics are canon unless
Okay.
otherwise stated. And also all of the expanded universe books they make now are also canon.
All right, so
um,
doesn't that kind of answer it?
It doesn't quite, because like he said, if they did want to write in everything, that would canonize the Star Wars special retroactively. It's like
Yeah.
how the Thrawn trilogy was no longer canon, and then they wrote Thrawn into Star Wars Rebels, so now he's canon again. But
Like
it's
Dragon
like a
Ball Battle of
modified
Gods.
Thrawn.
There's also some things if you look at the planet maps and shit, there's definitely some stuff from old games or books that's
Mhm.
why is that there if that's no longer canon?
Yeah. They're
Rakata
just
Prime
basically
and stuff.
unless we tell you it's canon, it's not. But then
Right.
at any time, they can tell you anything is canon if they want to.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's my argument for the Clone Wars thing. I think we got a little sidetracked on the holiday special
fine.
there, but yeah,
I mean, you got to bring up the holiday special.
yeah. Is that what your pick's gonna be, Christian? Or
No, that's not a movie.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Listen, Zach, we just talked
Oh,
about this.
Jesus Christ.
My
Yeah.
choice for the 2018 or Star Wars movie. No, I'm gonna say Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. There's all that. You're right that it is entertaining for the melodrama and all that, but there are so many parts of that movie that just drag on and I feel go nowhere. It's just it feels so much longer than it actually is, which is the worst thing a Star Wars movie could do because they're all already 2 hours long, at least. I don't know. Does anyone see where I'm coming from with this?
Yeah, no, that was actually going to be my pick, was Attack of the Clones, also.
And it's just like the CG is, it's stupid to complain about the CG in a Star Wars movie, but like there's so much of Attack of the Clones that is CG that like it's jarring to just sit there and watch them, swinging lightsabers at nothing.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. That's the only movie when I watched through all the Star Wars movies a year or 2 years ago, to like refresh myself again. That was the only movie where I was actively checking the runtime to see when it would be over. The other movies I just kind of sat right through them. But yeah, that one was like, oh god, when does this end? Just because, yeah, all you made a bunch of great points there, Christian. But the only like big one I still have is just, yeah, like I couldn't take the Anakin stuff in that one. Like, I don't mind Anakin in episode 1. I think, he's just a fine little kid. He's just kind of like, hey, you could imagine this as Anakin, or you could imagine this as young Luke. It's kind of like, there's a young Jedi in the making.
Are you an angel?
He's a moldable kid, and that's fine and that's good. And then I like Anakin in episode 3. I think there's still some traits of Anakin from episode 2 I don't like, but in episode 3 it's like the making of a villain stuff that I really enjoy. Like, you see really like the solid like concrete steps that really finally brought him to being Darth Vader, and I love that shit. But then in episode 2 it is just the angsty, like, oh, this guy thinks he's better than me, wow kind of stuff.
It's just like an unstable weirdo.
It's like, and like it's fine if like that's a part of his character story, but it's like, for such an unbearable character trait, I wish that was just like a flashback in like episode 3 or something. I wish that wasn't like a whole movie of just that character being put on display for 2 hours, because it just made me so like it definitely like put a wet blanket over the whole experience of that movie for me. It was just having Anakin be so angsty about every fucking thing. I just hated it.
Okay, so here's where I'm gonna come from, because I feel like because you guys have not seen the Clone Wars, it's maybe out of the running, and like I said, it is 2 episodes of a TV show, like, extended out, so is it really even a movie at that point? I feel like I would lean more towards Phantom Menace, because Phantom Menace, like she said, does not have a, like, coherent narrative. Like, it doesn't tell a story well. Like, Attack of the Clones, it's not good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that is a more cohesive story to follow than Phantom Menace.
Yeah, but I didn't, because episode 1 to me was just kind of, because I knew it was going to be a prequel trilogy. I guess it's a different story if you watched it in 1999 and you were kind of, waiting years upon years for the next movie. But as someone who watched just the prequels 1, 2, 3, I knew episode 1 was like, okay, yeah, it's just an introduction to, kind of this new world of Star Wars. We're not in the original trilogy anymore. Now
that's not what a movie should ever be, is like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be a story. It's like, that's bad.
Well, no, I didn't say it was. I mean, I still think that there's a fine story there. It's the early paces of Anakin, but I think it's just a good setup piece. It's a good swing.
But when you actually watch it, it's the other 2 movies are about Anakin, and then this one, Anakin doesn't even come in till halfway through. And even then, you don't learn that much about him, because it's not from his perspective. It's other characters meeting him and just seeing like, oh, there's this kid and he's a slave, but he's still really plucky and happy and he can build robots. And it's like, why was he even a slave? Because that didn't impact his life or his emotions or anything about him. That would be a good source of angst.
Right,
but
yeah.
It didn't happen that way. It was just kind of like, he was totally unscathed emotionally by the first 10 years of his life in harsh slavery.
It was delayed onset. It came out in episode 2. Episode 2 was the...
Well, and even then he was really just angry about not being respected by his coworkers, and his mother's murder, which was weirdly unrelated to her being a slave. It's like she had been a slave.
That's true.
And
yeah, I've always thought about
by
that.
A nice man, and then was kidnapped by unrelated bad people and killed by them.
It would be like one thing if Klieg Lars, or whatever the hell his name is, kept her as a slave or something, then like okay, maybe
and he's mad at him
slavery
or
thing.
something.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's more well placed. Instead, it's like, no, I was a nice man. I married her and she was super into it. You'll have to take my word for it. She loved me back. And Anakin's like, okay, checks out. Sounds legit.
Time to go murder some Tuscans.
You know, what if Clea Lars had just sold Anakin's mom and that was like an elaborate cover story? Like he had sold her like
Hey,
a year
you know
ago.
what? That's possible. She
She
doesn't
was
deny that either.
kidnapped. She was my happy wife, but she was kidnapped, and he's got like a new sports car in the driveway.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Insurance policy. Like, there's some Tuscan insurance policies.
Yeah,
on
he paid them
Tatooine
under
and
the
stuff.
table and to collect on her life insurance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. Yeah, it's interesting that they never bring up the slavery thing again.
It
in,
didn't
like,
matter.
those next
Yeah,
two movies.
him
Yeah,
being a slave was
absolutely.
completely inconsequential, even to his mom. There was no angst like, oh, you left my mom in slavery, I'm mad at you. It's like he was just mad at the people that murdered his mom directly, and not like the system that had used her as a slave for years, not at the Jedi for leaving her there. He didn't even ask them to take her with them.
Yeah,
he
he
was just
doesn't.
like, bye,
She doesn't
Mom,
really
I'll
come
miss
up.
you. But I won't save you. I'll just miss you just because we're apart. Like, he's just going off to boarding school. And it's like, well, she's also still a slave.
Right. You could make the argument, though, that, like, because that doesn't pay off at all, that is the fault of episode 2, and not necessarily episode 1 setting it up.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just making a general complaint. But
Right, sure.
I do think that in episode 1, it's odd that they bothered to make him a slave in the first one to begin with, because even in that story, there was no point to it. Like the pod race, I guess he wanted to write in the pod race and just waste time with that because
little
he
kids-
needed a reason for them to race cars.
Yeah, it's a story about a little kid's dream coming true. He always wanted to be a pod racing boy, and he got to be one by the end of the movie.
The problem with it, though, is that the story, like, it wants to be all these different things. Phantom Menace. It wants to be the story of this kid who's like, I want to grow
intrigue. He wants it to be Jedi cops
Right.
investigating a case. He wants it to be little slave boy wins the race. It's a lot of different movies.
Right. But episode 2, it's like Kenobi's got his thing where he's like 50s noir detective sort of thing. He's like
going to Camino and all that.
Django. Right, and then you have like love story.
But see,
on
at
the
least
other side
that one,
of
it is just straight up A plot, B plot. And they're both linear. They both intercut with decent pacing. And even though like there isn't action in those parts, I would consider the Anakin Padme scenes at least some of the most unboring ones in the movie, because you are watching character interactions with possible stakes, like social stakes, but at least stakes, where it's like he's trying to impress the girl. He's feeling feelings, which never happens in the prequels. He's feeling something. That's nice. And then they're like, you know, in the robot factory on a conveyor belt, and you're like, oh, less so. But I think people always dwell on like the love story as the bad part. And it's one of the least bad parts. I feel like episode 2 is more like a story that is a story and just was executed badly. And I feel like episode 1 is a movie that didn't have a story. And it definitely feels the most rushed. And it seems like after he worked on episode 1, he maybe had all the time that was in post-production to write episode 2. Whereas episode 1, I feel like he got funding approved and only allocated like a month for himself to write this movie. And it's like, here's my first draft. I don't have time to fix it because they're already making props and stuff. And it's just like,
he didn't want
that's
to
how
fix it, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I think the only thing I would argue for episode, I'm totally out of the running at this point, I think. But I think the only thing I would argue against picking episode 1 is just that there are certain scenes that, while they are like not connected or cohesive at all, are kind of interesting. Like you have the Darth Maul, you have the pod racing, and those scenes aren't like directed well. Like the pod racing thing goes on for I think 20 minutes, and it just drags forever. And it's the same thing with the Darth Maul fight, I feel like. But those are kind of iconic, and I can't even think of a thing from Attack of the Clones that is that
I
iconic.
feel like the Attack of the Clones iconic part. I mean, I'm not arguing for it because I'm still siding with it. But just I think it's that last war at the end where they all rush out onto the field and it's just like a million lightsaber fights going on at once. So like the big
Yeah, they have the
CG
Colosseum thing.
Yeah, like
it is a set piece.
Mhm.
It's not good, but yeah, that's kind of the visual set piece. And then they of course have the Padme with her like her ripped midriff jumpsuit. And so yeah, they have some visuals from that. You also get Naboo, which is a really memorable location in that one.
Yeah, shouts out. And I love the Naboo.
Naboo's great.
Yeah, that's my favorite planet. If we're gonna pick best planet Star Wars,
Ooh.
that's what it's
Okay.
gonna be.
Listen,
But,
you can't hate
for
Naboo.
now.
There's multiple locations on Naboo. We could say that at least. You can't.
There's multiple locations on Tatooine. All right, Christian.
But it's all
don't
desert.
even-
It's just desert and desert
Listen.
town, and then it's more desert.
We're
Listen,
slipping topics.
We're gonna get right into the next topic. So which one do we want to pick here? I feel like I still would rather pick Phantom Menace than Attack of the Clones, but I can see an argument for both sides.
Christian, how swayed did you feel by the discussion for Phantom Menace?
Listen, don't get me wrong. Phantom Menace is bad, but I feel like I could sit through that easier than I can Attack of the Clones. Even though it's not a good movie and it's thrown together like they threw every idea they had at it and just made it without wondering where it was going to go next.
See, I disagree with that entirely. I feel like, not with that last part, but I feel like Phantom Menace is so much more of a slog to get through. Than
It's
Attack of
hard. The
Clones.
pacing is
really?
odd. The pacing is very odd in Phantom Menace.
Right. I mean, I'm willing to. We got to move on. I'm willing to just cite Attack of the Clones just because I feel like we're arguing garbage. Like, it's like what's better, this fucking rotten apple or this moldy?
It's
That's the
like,
whole-
what's better, this overripe banana or this apple that's riddled with maggots?
In a sense, that's the entire concept of the podcast.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
But
All right, I'm gonna say.
And the Attack of the Clones is the overripe banana, which is obviously not as bad as
Yeah, you
the
make
apple that's
banana
riddled
bread.
with maggots.
Make banana bread with it.
Yeah, you can still find uses. I wouldn't bite into it, but you know.
Listen,
That's
I might take a
true.
bite.
I think we gotta. I think
Yeah.
we gotta go Attack
all
of
right,
the Clones.
let's lock it in.
Just to move on.
Yeah, 'cause-
I personally think Phantom Menace is a worse.
Otherwise-
Well, then why
they'll
did you
make
pick
it.
Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
I just feel like we gotta move on. We can't be arguing this forever. One thing I do want to bring up though, do any of you guys feel like there's a case to be made for any of the sequel movies?
like the new ones.
I was
Yeah, like
worried
they've-
someone would
Rogue
pick
One.
one, but no.
They've got their flaws.
I mean, even Rogue One,
but
which I don't like, I
If-
think it's just very generic. I don't think it
if-
comes close to the prequels.
If
Right.
Rogue One didn't have such a damn good ending, I definitely consider it because I don't like a majority of that movie. But like the ending is too amazing to like put it in the running. I think I
I
really
don't even like the ending. I don't like any of Rogue One.
See, the way I feel about Rogue
like
One is I
Scarif.
feel like I like the last 30 minutes, and it's
Yeah.
kind of exactly the opposite way I feel about The Last Jedi. That, like, not that I necessarily dislike the last 30 minutes of The Last Jedi, but I feel like it could have cut sooner and left some of the, like, meaty bits at the end for the next movie. But I guess we're going to have to call it Attack of the Clones.
take a bite of that banana. We're going in.
We're going in, boys.
I'll happily
Okay,
eat
lock
this
it in.
banana. The apple was much worse.
That's true. I agree, but sometimes you just gotta
As
eat a couple maggots.
as
you know?
Anakin says, just gotta eat a couple maggots.
Yeah. He said that to Padme overlooking the lakes of Naboo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
would have been a better
Um,
movie if he did.
Okay, so the next topic, you guys, we're gonna go worst Star Wars planet. Anybody want to take this?
No, they're all good.
I was curious about this. Do we mean worst planet conceived or worst planet to go to?
I feel like worst planet conceived is kind of
Yeah.
the idea
Okay,
going
okay.
into it.
Yeah, lean
but
a little bit more that way, I guess.
All right.
I mean, because obviously, like, worst planet's got to be like what, Mustafar, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go there.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's got some nice buildings. It's got the old Darth Vader's palace is there on Mustafar.
The
Oh,
old,
right, I
the
forgot
old
about
Darth
that.
Vader's palace.
The old Darth Vader's palace. That sounds like a nightclub or like a TGI Fridays.
They're gonna build that at Disneyland.
Yeah, you know when like musicians decide that they're getting too old to be a musician, so they open like a novelty
Yeah.
restaurant chain.
Uh-huh.
That's like what
Yeah.
Sith Lords do also.
Mm.
It's gonna be a burger place.
Yeah.
Darth
But
Vader's
it's like
palace.
bougie. It's like bougie burgers.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
like
yeah.
$15 and they're like
Uh-huh.
specialty burgers.
The buns are black.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're all different, like special buns. You get a pretzel bun, you get a black Sith bun.
Right. So I'm gonna throw it over to Eric. Eric, do you
Yeah.
got a pick for worst planet?
Yeah, I do. For worst planet, I'm gonna pick. I think it's pronounced Camino. From just as we were talking on topic episode 2, I believe that wasn't that where they like printed out the clones.
Yeah,
Like
so the
the
cloning
clones?
place, the rainy
Right.
planet.
Exactly. Yeah, I just don't like how dreary it is. I feel like it's
Too dark.
yeah, it's too dark. It's too depressing.
Turn on the
Uh,
lights, why don't you?
Yeah, I mean, like there's other cool dark planets, but I feel like there's just nothing cool about that planet. It feels like that one stage in that one. It feels like that one level in the game where it's like, I gotta sit through this. All right, fine, fuck it. I guess I'll play through it. Like it's that. It's like just got like a dark, depressing aesthetic, and I just don't think there's anything redeeming about it. Simple.
Hmm.
You know what? I don't hate a dark and depressing aesthetic.
I like Camino. It's one of my faves.
Really?
I like Camino too. I like the
I would go there.
I don't necessarily think it looks good in the movie.
No.
Because it's just him like standing in front of a green
It looks
screen.
like a Destiny's
But-
Child music video.
Right.
But I actually did look at a list of planets earlier today just to refresh myself, and honestly, I thought like almost all of the rest of those planets I thought were like hitting me way better in terms of like, oh yeah, I found something I liked about that one. But Camino was one of
Okay.
the few where I just couldn't think of anything that hit me that I liked about it.
I mean, if you want to make an argument that's like, it just is a big green screen where
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor talks to like tennis balls. I don't even think. I think it was just a blue screen he talked to.
Yeah.
But that might be an interesting thing. But I don't know. I feel like the especially some of the concept art from that planet is just like really good. Like I don't know.
It's like
the
Day After
prequels
Tomorrow
are
stuff.
bad, but like concept art, I never felt like.
The thing about Camino is that it doesn't even feel like a planet. It just feels like that one place he goes to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like what happens?
Yeah, it's not featured a lot.
What happens on the rest of Camino?
It rains all the time.
Is there a
Galen
ground?
Merrick,
Is there
number
ground
2,
floor?
Starkiller 2, the clone of Starkiller, he breaks out of Camino.
He does, yeah. He pulls that Star Destroyer out of the sky on Camino.
No, he doesn't do it on Camino.
Oh,
That's
it's not on
another
Camino?
planet.
I thought he was on like a balcony. I know he fights
No.
Vader there, at least in the
I
book.
think in Force Unleashed 1,
Uh-huh. He
in
pulls a
Force
Star
Unleashed
Destroyer
1,
out
he
of the
pulls a
sky.
Star Destroyer out of the sky, but it's on like a junk planet. But in Force Unleashed 2, his clone,
Yeah.
like clone number 50 or something, just like destroys all of Camino.
Yeah, he's like pulling ships down. He's fighting Vader on the landing pad or whatever.
Right.
Camino's great, and it's raining in that too. So I feel like Camino just rains all the time.
I think he kills Darth Vader in number 2 on Camino. So, because he kills him in number 1
Yeah, the
too.
climactic
But-
fight is on Camino in the second one.
Right. Let's move on from Force Unleashed because I have more things to say
I
about
love
that in
Force
a second.
Unleashed.
Oh man, I don't know.
No,
if
I like
agree with
Force
that.
Unleashed. That's a great game. The second one's sort of stupid and doesn't do anything, but I like the first one.
Well, who's got a worse planet than Camino to
Well,
talk
I
about?
was going to say Jakku.
Ooh, that was
And-
gonna be my choice.
That was
Oh,
gonna be my
really?
pick.
Oh,
Wait, really?
Wow! Oh my
No,
God!
I
Are we
mean,
all
it's
gonna
probably
agree on
for the
Jakku?
same
Triple.
reasons as you guys then. The reason I wanted to pick Jakku is that it's, I love Force Awakens. I don't care that it's so similar to A New Hope. I don't ascribe to that school of thought, but I do think it's weird to make a planet that basically is just Tatooine and not have it be Tatooine.
Exactly.
And I don't know what I want, because I wouldn't want her to be on Tatooine, because that would just be weird if everyone's from Tatooine.
Right.
Everyone that ever becomes a Jedi grows up on Tatooine. But they could have had her grow up as like a scavenger on a junky planet and maybe not made it a desert planet and thought of another gimmick. I mean, you have Lothal from Rebels, which is also very similar to Tatooine.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's more
a
like
little different,
Arabian,
though.
and then they have those fields with grass, so it has a different vibe.
They have those giant mountains.
Yeah,
and
they have the
stuff.
mountains in the distance. They have the large, like, wheat-looking fields. And then you have Jeddah in Rogue One, which even that one is a little bit different. And I just feel like Jakku
What's like a
is
shrine to the
just
Jedi and
Tatooine.
stuff. Like,
Yeah, they have temples. They have the more like Arabian-looking cities, I guess. Kind of a different aesthetic. It's still very similar. I don't know why all these have to have desert planets. But yeah, Jakku, I feel like, offers the least new stuff. And I do think it's interesting in like the novelizations, they imply that the reason Jakku is like that is that it used to have like a different like, I don't know, ecosystem, I guess, and be a different, like, more lush planet. And that huge battle that happened that everybody's still scavenging the remnants of are the reason it's decimated. And it's now like a wasteland because it's been nuked or whatever the Star Wars version of nuked is, and just destroyed all the terrain. But then maybe if that's the case, they could have like some distant formations that suggest what it used to be like, or like pockets of, plant life or something. It just
Right.
seems like there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
right. It's interesting you say that, because that is the exact story of Tatooine.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
The Tatooine was once a lush jungle. I know this because I'm a Tuscan boy.
Okay.
But Tatooine was once a lush jungle planet, and the Rakata, which are like ancient.
I know who the
cheese.
Rakata are.
Right. This is for Eric.
Oh, okay,
'cause
okay,
Eric,
okay.
Yeah,
Eric doesn't know anything. He doesn't
I'm
know.
the least
He
knowledgeable.
doesn't know a
probably.
Bothan from an Ewok.
How embarrassing.
Well, I know Ewoks. I know
How
anything
embarrassing.
from an Ewok.
He doesn't.
You
He doesn't know a
motherfucker.
Bothan from a Rhodian.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Damn
Right.
it.
But the Rakata, they blew it up because the Tusken Raiders' ancestors actually like were fighting the Rakata, and they blew up Tatooine as like revenge.
Well, then that's even worse for Jakku. So it's even more of the
Right.
same.
That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that was once a jungle planet too is like.
I don't know
what
if
are
it
we
was
doing?
a jungle, but it was something. It had plants
It was
at some point
lush
in time. It had
at
plants
some
or
point,
rock
sure.
formations or something other than sand.
I mean, yeah, I was so disappointed with Jakku, just because I was like, damn, if we had gotten Tatooine, like Tusken Raiders are amazing.
I don't want
But then-
Tatooine. We don't want.
I don't want
either.
Tatooine either.
I don't care that much, because like I didn't feel like it ruined the movie because they spent so little time there, but I just think they could have easily improved the movie by giving us some kind of new landscape to have her be from. There are other depressing places to be from that aren't desert.
Right, and there's also like concept art of like her in a swamp.
Oh yeah,
with-
see, do another swamp.
That would have been so
planet.
much more interesting. Like it looked like, I don't know, like New Orleans or something. And
That
I
would
was
be
like,
great.
that would be much cooler.
Maybe they're saving that for a planet you spend more time on. A nice
Maybe.
New Orleans bayou swamp planet.
I don't know. We spend a lot of time on Jakku
Not that much time.
compared to
Just
the other
just
planets in that
getting
movie.
to know you time.
Christian, do you have an argument that like against
No, I'm
Jakku,
everything you guys.
or-
I was gonna say Jakku too, because everything you guys are saying, I agree with 100%. I mean, with a million ideas that they could have come up with, they just went and did another desert, and like it's not even like like you said, it's not like a desert that has any history. It's just sort of like there's things that crashed here, and we scavenged them. Like, what happens on the rest of this planet? Like, what did it used to be before this battle? Like, what's the
Yeah.
point?
And
What's
I
the
love her
point?
being a scavenger. I love the scavenger culture, but you can scavenge anywhere. You can put that in any landscape.
Right. I think they just wanted it to be like, they just wanted Tatooine too, and
Yeah. Because
At
it's
that
Star
point, it's
Wars.
like,
You've
just
got to
make
have the
Tatooine.
desert again. You got to have someone
Right.
from a
It's like
desert.
Mario. You gotta have the desert world.
Yeah. Well, even though you're not putting up a fight, I want to defend Camino. Even though we've already won,
Kick
I
him while
want to
he's
destroy
down.
your argument.
Yeah, no. Well, when I wrote down my planets, I wrote down a couple secondary choices after Camino, and Jakku was one of them. So yeah, I have no
Okay.
problem with you guys.
Well, I just think Camino has an awesome vibe because you do have those like it's very un-Star Warsy, but you have those ultra clean, futuristic, almost lounge-looking interior settings. And then you like
Yeah, those are
outside the
cool.
big windows, you have pouring rain and you're like elevated in the mountains. That just sounds so cozy. Like you'd get like a shag
I
like
mean, are there
rug.
mountains?
Well,
Well, yeah, they're
I
like
mean,
up high. We don't know what's on the ground really, but they're on like stilts. It's like it's almost like a Bespin situation where you don't really know what's under them. But you know, they're up high, they're elevated, and you've got the nice ambient sound of the rain. It would help you sleep every night.
if there was some like saxophone music or something, maybe I
Yeah.
could see that. But yeah, like
Lighting,
we're
maybe?
imagining, we're fantasizing about the decorative things you could do.
But I'm
with
saying
it.
if
But
you
like
found
they didn't
yourself
do
there,
those
you
things.
could plus it up. So it's a
I
fine
guess.
planet. We've just seen the cloning facility. You can't have mood lighting in your cloning facility, but they've got to go home at the end of the night, and I'd imagine that that's what their houses are like.
Like looking at a blank canvas and going, look at all the art that could be here.
Well, no, it's like I mean, their buildings are like the bachelor pad of Star Wars, where it's just like clean lines, modern shapes, everything's really white, and you're just like, yeah, this is comfortable.
Yeah, you could.
I like it as something I would want to live in, but I also feel like
Really, with all that rain, you wouldn't mind like going out in rain.
You don't
like,
have to go
I
out
don't-
in it.
I don't
You
care.
can get your
Yeah.
groceries delivered from Amazon, and you just curl up with your hot cocoa and listen to the rain in your cool futuristic apartment.
the one thing I'll say is like that's definitely not a Star Wars thing. Like,
Oh, it so is. Well,
I
the hot
feel like-
chocolate would be blue, but
no, not the ordering stuff from Amazon, but just I don't feel like the Camino in general is very Star Warsy because it's like here's this like super clean, everything's neat. Like when I think Star Wars, I just think like.
but that's the whole prequels. I mean, you could say the
Brown.
same about
That's true.
Coruscant
That's true,
or
That's a
Bespin.
good point.
Bespin's a very clean planet.
right? Well, I don't know. Even Bespin's like, it looks like an SNES. Like if it's been in the sun too long.
Bespin?
I feel like the interior of Bespin looks like that, but I don't know.
Weird.
It looks like a TNG set. Okay, can we all agree it's Jakku?
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Ew.
No.
Okay, lock it in, Jakku. All right. So the next topic,
That was too easy.
we're gonna go worst Star Wars character, and I'm gonna start. We brought up this character earlier, and I just want to. I feel like I have to get something off my chest.
Darth Vader.
So going into this, I was actually gonna pick Anakin Skywalker, and then I was like, well, I don't know, because I do like Darth Vader,
Yeah, it's
especially
tricky.
in Return of the Jedi.
I considered the same thing, but that's not my pick as Anakin.
But he was like my top pick for a while, but then I remembered it's got to be Starkiller. It's got to be Galen
No!
Merrick from Force Unleashed.
No!
He's so horrible.
How do you
He's
not like Starkiller?
He fucking sucks. I like the actor a lot. I'm glad he's doing other Star Wars things. I'm glad he's Darth Maul. I'm glad he's Emperor Palpatine. But
Oh yeah,
God
he is
damn,
Emperor Palpatine. I forgot about
what
that.
a horrible, horrible character. Like, he kills Darth Vader. I know he's like supposed to be male empowerment for, or whatever for that game. Like, you're
What?
supposed to be Galen Merrick, because he's like the most powerful Force user ever. But it's
Oh.
like it totally invalidates all of Star Wars. It's like, oh, well, you know, Luke didn't necessarily need to be the one to rescue Vader. It could have just been Starkiller if he had tried harder. And he kills Palpatine, like mortally wounds Palpatine or something like that. It's crazy. Like, and then they bring him back for the sequel, and he meets all of these like important Star Wars characters. Like he meets Boba Fett, he meets Yoda,
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, well, in the original, I think he meets Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Chewbacca.
but it's ridiculous. He fucking takes down a Star Destroyer with his hands. It like kind of, I don't know. I feel like that invalidates the original trilogy in a big way.
Makes it better.
I don't know.
No, I think he's right.
Who's
Yeah.
right? We're both right.
No, I think Starkiller is not a very good character.
Oh shit.
But you know what? I'm willing to listen to whatever anybody else has to say. I just feel like Starkiller, god damn.
Yeah, no.
It's not that the game is bad. I don't dislike the game
mean-
that much. I think the second one is horrible. But
He's just supposed to be an avatar.
right, but he's not. He's not like a character you can customize or anything. Like he is
They
a
did
character on his
I
own.
feel like they just
He
did the bare minimum.
single-handedly starts the rebellion.
Oh, yeah, well. That's a
So-
good thing.
I just think it's really funny too because that character was supposed to be named Darth Icky at one point. So
Sticky icky.
yeah, the creators of that game went to George Lucas and were like, we need a bad guy name for our main character. We want like a Darth name because apparently he has to approve all of the Darth names that go in there.
Wow.
He said, "How about Darth Icky?" Because he took a look at the character model. He was like, "How about Darth Icky?
Why? Because he
How
thought
about
it.
Darth
He
Insaneous?"
thought he looked.
Darth
icky.
Insaneous would be great. I wish
That would have
he was
been really
called
good.
that.
I really do too. Because then maybe I would have liked the
Insaneous.
character more. But as it stands, I don't know.
Oh,
Star
man.
Killer sucks. Hit me up with Watto or whatever you guys
Oh,
got.
yeah, he was one of my strong contenders. I was torn between him and one other character.
Listen, you
I
gotta
just
love
wanna-
Watto.
I want to
Do
reverse.
we?
I want to reverse time a little bit here because I did want to say before we started, and I totally forgot
Uh-oh.
that this is excluding Jar Jar Binks.
I
Not that
wasn't gonna pick Jar
necessarily-
Jar.
Yeah, not that I
Everybody
necessarily
loves
even think
Jar
he's
Jar.
the worst. I just think he's just like an easy pick. Like people just throw out Jar Jar.
And he's not the worst. There are worse characters.
I think he's good in Clone Wars. I think he's utilized well. He's not good in the movies, but in some of the extended universe stuff, he's okay. He's not bad. He's not the worst. But Starkiller's my pick. Hit me up. Come on.
Well,
Hit
I
me with
was
something.
torn between Count Dooku for being just
Oh,
kind of a
boy.
redundant, useless, boring character who was like an idiot and died from being stupid. But then I don't know, I think I do favor Watto because he's like, they try to make him like a comedic character, but he also like owns slaves and is like bad to them. And then, but the main sticking point with Watto is that he's like a racist caricature of like a Jewish Middle Eastern man.
You gotta
Wait,
love the
Wait,
Middle
does he actually
Eastern.
say like racist stuff?
No, but he's got the accent. He's got the big hook's nose, and he's
Oh,
obsessed with
okay.
money, and he's from
Oh.
like
Yeah.
a desert world.
Oh, so they're teetering the line.
And they're like
Oh, man.
they're jumping over the line.
Oh shit.
I feel like that's definitely an argument for Phantom Menace being a worse movie too, just because they throw those
No, Zach, we already
stereotypes
locked
out
it.
like candy.
Already
but-
locked it. The lock is on. You can't take the lock off.
It's a perfect movie. Every single racist caricature.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then Phantom Menace also, I think that's where you first meet the Nemoidians, who
Yeah,
are like the
they're
Asian
Chinese-
people. Yeah,
Chinese
how horrible.
racist.
You know what? I was gonna bring those guys up in a second, so
Oh, okay.
want to steer clear of that. But yeah, I definitely hate Watto. Like, I feel like Jar Jar Binks is more fun to like make fun of, at least when you compare him to Watto, and Watto's just
Watto's like sweat stained and all that. They were selling like Beanie Babies of him when it came
Yeah.
out. Like you're gonna want to
with his
cuddle
like
with
gold
Watto.
teeth. Ugh.
They were all in on Watto.
Well,
Oh
I mean-
yeah, Watto's gonna be big.
The kids
They
don't
thought he was gonna be
understand
the
the
next Han
undertones.
Solo. Look forward to Watto, a Star Wars story.
Listen, he's cute. Who would play Watto? Like young Watto? Who do you think?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
You think
One
so?
of the Stranger Things kid that doesn't have teeth.
No,
That
the
one.
guy.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The guy that was in The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh yeah, that'd be a
That
good
guy.
one.
Yeah,
He's
that'd be
annoying.
good.
Yeah, I'd pick him as Watto. I wouldn't have been surprised if they cast him as Han Solo. I feel like the guy they cast gives off a very similar vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. I feel like he was probably up there. As
I'm
a
sure.
contender.
Yeah, he was like one of the last 3 or something.
Do you think we'll finally meet girl Watto?
God willing.
Yeah. I hope so.
And she'll be a cruel Jewish female stereotype.
Yeah.
She'll be like a no. You know what she'll be? She'll be like a gypsy. Witch.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
With
She'll have like
poop
really
earrings.
long curly like hair, but maybe it won't be hair. Maybe it'll be like tentacles or
Yeah.
something, just to like kind
Star
of
Wars, yeah.
offset it a little bit. Yeah.
And then that totally disguises the ethnic undertones. They're like, what? No, it's tentacles. And she's wearing like the straight up like fortune teller headscarf with like
yeah, she's got like
coins hanging from it.
She's like that character from Courage the Cowardly Dog. You know, the fucking
Yeah, the
cat.
cat.
Oh yeah.
They should make girl Watto like eat money. Like, ooh, I love money.
That's pretty good. Maybe that's how Toydarians, which is Watto's race, eat.
You know what though? In
We all
Clone
do
Wars,
that.
they're very cute. The other Toydarians, and I don't know if it's just because they're animated, but I think it's because they don't have the cynical eyes.
They don't have
Because he has
sweat
those
stains.
mean squinty eyes. But the
Yeah, but
Toydarians
they-
in Clone Wars are like bug-eyed. They look like little Muppets.
Yeah, they do look like Muppets.
They're
They
so
look like
cute.
Gonzo. Yeah, I definitely like their armor too, and they don't talk with quite as bad of a racial accent.
Yeah, I think someone said something, like somewhere in production. They were like, we can't be doing this.
Probably, yeah. So, Eric, Christian, I
Well,
want to
it's
hear
funny-
what's your worst character?
It's funny you mentioned Muppets. My man.
Oh, I know where this is going already.
Yeah,
Do you
Yoda.
know where this is going? There's so many characters. Yoda.
Are you serious?
Is that where you thought this was going?
No, I
No,
thought,
is that your real answer?
I thought it was fucking. I thought you were gonna pick Jabba's little guy, the
Salacious Crumb. We love
Salacious
him.
Crumb,
We love
because
him.
he's like a Muppet character. So I
We
thought
love
that's
him.
where you were going.
Listen,
Oh,
I like
okay.
him. This is my argument. I like
Oh,
Salacious
okay.
Crumb because he's a Muppet character. Don't
Wait,
give me
no.
You
Yoda.
like Salacious Crumb more than Yoda.
Don't come over here with Yoda. I love the Muppets, okay? You're going to tell me you got Frank Oz on the mic, and you're going to walk over here like, oh, look at this goofy little Muppet characters. Oh, who are you? I'm Yoda. I'm actually the Jedi Master. Now, watch me be wise with my sage wisdom for 6 movies.
Oh, so this is real. You're picking Yoda.
Oh my god.
I
You're
wanted-
really
this is-
picking Yoda?
I wanted entrance to Dagobah, goofy old man Yoda. That we got a little bit of him in
In Last
Oh,
Jedi?
so you're saying
we got a little
you're
bit
not
of,
saying
You hate prequel Yoda?
I hate Yoda 10 minutes after he shows up until
What the fuck?
the Last Jedi. Listen,
No.
don't come over here. You're going to tell me you got a little fun little green guy, Frank Oz on the mic, and you're
Yeah.
so
going to
you're saying you don't like him in Return of the Jedi. You're saying you don't like him like halfway through Empire.
correct. When he shows
What
up in
the
The Last
fuck?
Jedi, I was like, hell yeah. We got crazy little Muppet Man Yoda back in action. I like it. And like everyone's excuse of like, oh well, he was just acting weird because like he was trying to throw Luke off. I don't care. I want to see him doing Muppet tricks and doing.
Oh my god.
I want to see his little
you wouldn't want
hand on
to
a
do that when
fire.
you have to learn something. I mean, clearly his true heart is crazy Yoda. And sometimes he can get
Yeah.
serious. He's got duality to him, like any good friend. You know, you have your friends you can be goofy with and go out on the town. And then you can also have real talk with them, and that's Yoda.
And he doesn't crack a single joke in the prequels.
Holy shit.
See, I agree with you on that.
You're gonna
I feel
tell me
like
that
Yoda in the prequels
got-
is a totally different character.
Oh yeah,
became more
prequel
fun
Yoda
with
is the
age?
worst. He
You're gonna tell
ruins
me
Yoda.
he became more fun with age? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. You're gonna
I-
tell me you're hanging out with Mace Windu all the time and you don't got a joke to crack?
What, you think Mace Windu is the... He's the party guy? Mace Windu is like
think-
one of the worst characters.
Mace Windu, honestly, you guys, Mace Windu was my number 2.
Mace Windu is like Mr. Roboto.
Mace Windu is a good pick. I think you should rethink your answer.
Listen.
Because I feel like Mace Windu has a stronger case than
Yes.
Yoda.
Listen, I said what I said.
Okay.
Jesus,
All
damn.
right. I guess Christian picks Yoda. All right.
That's bold
Eric.
words. Hey,
Are you gonna pick Luke Skywalker?
No,
next,
didn't
Eric,
at
or
the
what's-
start of this episode, or maybe I said it off screen, but I said Christian is the left ball guy. He's the curveball guy. I said that, and here it is.
Listen, I feel it.
Here's the thing, Christian. Do you like Star Killer more or less than Yoda?
Wow, I know what I'm getting with Star Killer. He's a video game avatar. He's got his own characteristics, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to choose whether to be good or bad as him. So like, you can't really write a character around that. So Yoda, little green man,
Jesus
Yodette,
Christ.
Yodel,
I can't hear any more of this.
in the fire
Eric, tell me
too.
about how you hate Luke Skywalker or something, or Han Solo.
My pick is Darth Maul. Even though
Darth Maul.
I feel like that character is just so underwhelming. It's the disappointment factor in him. It's the fact that he's hyped up as this badass Sith.
I mean, he is though.
Yeah, he kind of was, and like he's got such a great design. He's in all the promotional material for Phantom Menace. You think he's going to be like one of the main villains, but
he's in Insidious.
Every time he's in Insidious, but every time I revisit Episode 1. Even though I just argued that I liked that movie before, I do sort of still argue that I stand by it a bit. But with Darth Maul in particular, I feel like he just comes in and out so quick that it's like, oh, this is all this character is he's just a couple of fights with Qui-Gon, and that's kind of it. Like I just feel like the disappointment factor overrides like any other annoying trait of any other Star Wars character for me. With Maul.
It's interesting because like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a pass here, Eric, because you haven't seen any of the TV shows.
Yeah,
you haven't seen any of that shit.
I was reading some wiki stuff before, and I noticed that like the passage for Phantom Menace on Darth Maul's wiki page is like 5 lines long, but like the Clone Wars section of his page is like 6 paragraphs long.
Yeah, they bring him back in the TV show, and he actually becomes like an interesting character.
It's so funny though, because he's basically a totally different character in the TV show. Like suddenly he's like this Shakespearean villain, and he's got like
suddenly
a swanky
he's, like,
accent,
super talkative.
and he's very talkative. Right. He's like soliloquizing all the time, and you're just like, where did this come from?
Is it good? Is it good though? Is it good?
Oh yeah, I like him in those. He wears like a sensitive Nehru collar shirt, like he's a cool college guy from the 70s.
Polo. Yeah. I think he's good in the TV show. He's just awful in the movie.
I think he's fine in the movie.
He's nothing.
I think he does his job.
I don't know. I feel like they hyped him up to have like a bigger job. He does like a fine job, but I feel like he should have been something.
I mean, it's kind of funny though too in the TV series. Even then, he's always defeated like really easily. Like I remember in his fight with like Kanan Jarrus, they take like 2 swings at each other, and then Kanan just like pushes Darth Maul off the side of a cliff, and I literally out loud was just like, how embarrassing.
Yeah, what the fuck? This guy is like a demon.
Because he comes in talking a big game. You're like, this guy's so cool. He's got all this swagger. And then he just gets knocked off a cliff like, whoa.
Yeah, they made him look
Didn't
like
he
a
lose
demon,
to like pirates or something? He lost to Hondo.
He lost to everybody. He just kept losing. And then, but he would do like, he's like the sideshow Bob. So he's always like talking a big game. And he's always like, oh, I'm one step ahead. And he's got his like cool accent that makes him sound very cultured. He's fun. I love Darth Maul in this series, but yeah, he's very incompetent with like fighting. Like he just loses to everyone every time.
With the show though, is that like an intentional shtick, or is that just kind of how it?
No, it's not supposed to be funny. I think you're just supposed to be like, these characters have such good prowess that they beat Darth Maul so handily. But it's like, no, because it's every time to everyone.
Oh, okay. So then,
yeah, I mean, I think he's a good character in Clone Wars. I think that they kind of redeem him, bring him back, but that's after they already killed him. Like
it might as well be a different guy. Like they could have just animated him differently.
They could have just made it Savage Opress.
Yes,
which is another Star Wars.
It's a great name. It's subtle.
It's a fantastic name. Very, very subtle. just like Insaneous.
Yeah, Darth Insaneous. I love that name.
It's a thinking man's
Darth
name.
Insaneous. I would be willing to choose Darth Maul from the movies.
Oh, really?
Like, I said all I could say about Starkiller. But Darth Maul in the movies, I think, is just awful. I hate Watto, too. I would go Watto, but I don't know. I feel like Watto at least has a character, whereas Darth Maul is like, what even was that?
Yeah.
Like, what was the point?
Right. And he's all over the promotional material too. Like I remember I had the VHS when I was a kid where his face is like a third of the box, and then like you put the movie on and it's like,
He's just the mascot.
Right. It's just weird. It's definitely one of those things where it's like maybe if they even marketed it differently, I wouldn't have had such expectations for him. But because they kind of hyped him up a little bit as like, oh, look how cool this guy looks. It's like, yeah, he looks cool, but then the movie doesn't really reflect what you guys are trying to tell me he is. I feel like.
Right.
So that's my take. I'm pretty flexible on this. I don't know. I think all of these cases are good.
Except for Christians.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
actually, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I completely forgot Christian picked Yoda. Yeah, kick Christian's fucking answer to the curb. There's no way I'm going Christian's answer.
I think I can convince you.
So, all right, we got Starkiller, Darth Maul, and Watto. Who's it gonna be?
Who's the
I'm
worst?
going Maul.
Oh, 2 for 2 on Maul. All right.
Hey, I'm going Maul too.
All right. Well, sorry, Christian.
I feel like Clone Wars Maul is a different character. I don't feel like it's what you're saying. I feel like movie Maul, awful, just horrible.
I think now that I know what I'm getting into with Darth Maul, I accept him for who he is. But I feel like if it was the year leading up to that movie,
can't accept Yoda though.
No, let's not be crazy.
Take a dump on Frank Oz's hand.
No, Frank Oz is a treasure.
How do you like Frank Oz but you don't like Yoda?
Because
so
Frank Oz, if they said, "Hey Frank, we want you to like ad lib just some crazy Muppet antics," he would be there all day. But they said, hold your hand perfectly still and flap those tiny lips and talk about, death and the Force, and then go home. We don't want to hear
Yoda
Miss
is great
Piggy.
in everything but the prequels. Yoda
We don't want to
is
hear Fozzie
flawless.
Bear. What about?
You know what? Yoda's actually good in the TV shows.
I was gonna say, isn't he?
Meh.
It's the same thing.
He's not as good. He's not the same
He's
character.
like prequel
but
Yoda in the
he's better.
show. I mean, he's a little better. They give him more humanity with like the Dooku backstory and stuff. But yeah.
So it's gonna be Maul.
Damn.
I'm gonna lock it in.
The fuck?
It's
expecting
Maul.
All right.
All right. So the final topic of the show.
Some may say it should have been the third topic.
You might have said that. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Jedi Legend
so-
books, I think it might have said that. But,
Yeah.
we're changing.
Let me preface this topic by saying, if any of you motherfuckers pick Tusken Raiders for the worst creature ever in Star Wars,
Can you count that as a creature?
You're gonna get kicked out of the call. Absolutely.
Tusken kids. Worst creature.
You're gonna get kicked out of the call if that's your answer. Okay, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you guys take it. What's the worst Star Wars creature? I can go if you guys
Hold
want.
on, no, Christian, is your answer Yoda again? Is because Yoda counted the?
He's
Star
a
Wars
character. If he's got a name, you can't call him a creature.
Well, you know what? If you look up his Wikipedia, Yoda's race is just...
It's unknown. They don't have a name for it. Even Yoda's like, yeah, I don't know, which is insane and makes no
badass.
sense.
That's badass. I love that. That makes me love Yoda more. But all right, Zach sounded pretty enthusiastic about his creature pick, so I think we should just hear it.
I mean, mine's gonna be Nemoidians. I feel like Nemoidians are almost more of a stereotype than Watto is, because Watto you could pass off as like, well, maybe he's like, I don't know, like Tuco from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Maybe he's just like this greedy fat guy, whatever. But Nemoidians are like very bad, like Japanese big businessman racial stereotype. I don't know. I don't feel like the Nemoidians, they're just like these lizard people that get manipulated by Palpatine.
Okay, yeah. I just had to look up a picture. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
All right.
that's my pick.
All right. So wait, no. What was your bullet point? What was your reasons? Their racial stereotypes.
They're a racist stereotype.
Okay.
I don't feel like they add anything to the movie, and I feel like they're probably the most offensive out of all of the racial stereotypes in Star Wars.
What did they do in the story? I forget.
They blockade Naboo.
Oh, that's it.
Because they're the
Trade
Trade
Federation.
Federation. Yeah.
So they get duped by Palpatine very stupidly and then take the fall for him again very stupidly and weirdly without just going, that guy told us to. The guy that sounds like Palpatine.
All right.
Yeah, and then
I got it.
and then
They were
Revenge of the
greedy
Sith,
and
they get their
stupid.
Okay.
Revenge of the Sith, they get their heads chopped off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You can play that in the Episode 3 Star Wars the video game.
Yes.
So you can go through as Anakin and just chop them all down.
Do you miss old like tie-in games? I feel like they don't do them anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
I know Disney decided to not do them anymore just for their stuff, but like no one's doing it. Where are all the tie-in games?
Like what? Like, I mean, they just did the Battlefront.
No, but I think what Christian's saying is like they used to do.
They used to come out with games like the same week of a movie.
Yeah.
Like there's an Attack of the Clones.
Oh, like the junky ones that are just like right to stores.
Yes.
Well, they do that
Yeah.
with Lego Star Wars now.
No, that doesn't count because that like those come out like way after. I'm talking about like they come out the same week, and like
Why do you miss those?
They're
they
all
were
garbage.
a big part of my childhood. I played a lot of those
Yeah.
games.
He likes the nostalgia. Oh my god.
I played a lot of those bad games.
They just most
I got
of them
stuck
felt
on the Finding
bad.
Nemo video game where you had to jump through lava as shark bait.
See, that's fun.
Nice.
I could not get past that, so I
Start.
spent 3 hours as a kid trying to get through that lava hoop and the Finding Nemo the video game. Yeah, so I feel like I've made my case for Nemoidians.
Yeah.
Christian, what's your
Yeah, I'm dying to hear Christian.
Funny you should ask. I don't know.
What the
I'm still
fuck?
thinking.
Okay, Eric, what's yours?
All right, I definitely don't have a good case. I have a pick. Like this is something that I think I've had pretty locked for a while now. But seriously, it's the stupidest thing. But I don't like the fucking aliens on Last Jedi that Luke Skywalker milks and he drinks the fucking milk out of. He hated that shit. It was like, okay, so Star Wars has a lot of like kind of gross-ish creature designs, right? Like Jabba the Hutt's pretty gross and et cetera, Salacious Crumb. But I feel like at least like there's always like some sort of like benefit I can tie to one of those. Like Jabba the Hutt, okay, gross ass character, but his part of the story in Return of the Jedi is good. Like I love that whole little mini adventure with Jabba before we really get onto the rest of the story. Like I love that shit. But the fact that he like walks past that alien and he stops in front of it and he milks it into a little sippy cup for himself, and then he drinks the cup full of green ass bluish milk and it gets all over his like mustache and face and everything. I was just so grossed out by that, and like way more grossed out than a majority of the other gross out creature designs in Star Wars previous. But I feel like that alien just served no purpose other than to like have Luke Skywalker make a gross mess of himself and just have audience go like, gee, I guess this guy is just some fucking old man baby living on here drinking his milk out of this weird alien.
Do you think they have a take? Do you think they have a take where like he just sips the milk and he's like, all right, all done, and then Ryan Johnson was like, we want you to sort of just like make a mess of yourself.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised.
But I think the point of him drinking the weird alien milk is to be gross, because I think that whole montage is him aggressively trying to get Rey to go away. So it's like, okay, I'm being boring. Okay, I'm being weird. I'm a gross old man. Get off my island. It's all passive aggressive. That's why he makes eye contact right after.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the only one who makes eye contact.
Yeah, the little monster man.
The monster.
If I didn't just
with the
walk,
nipples,
if I think it's the combination of the gross face with watching how the milk was made. If like he just like off screen milked that thing and then like made the mess of himself, I think I'd be whatever about it. But the fact that it's like I just saw that thing like pee all that crap out and then like it got it all over his face, I think it just.
I don't know how that would translate onto screen, Eric.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just gonna go over here and milk this creature.
It would
and then all
make
of a
no
sudden he
sense
comes
for him
back
to
with,
milk
like,
it into
green-
a bucket either, because he's one man and he can't consume more than like a liter bottle
I don't know.
of milk.
I've seen a lot of movies where they milk a cow and they don't have a close up of the udder where you see the milk coming right out of the udder and into the bucket and then they drink the bucket and get it all. I don't need it.
How many movies have you seen where they milk cows?
A lot of movies that take place
Freddy
on
Got
farms.
Fingered?
Yeah, Freddy Got
No,
Fingered.
that's a horse.
Yeah, he milks it all right.
But yeah, that's my fucking argument is the weird milk alien.
I feel like your argument that he could have done it off screen doesn't hold up. Just because I feel
I
like
think if
he
you're a
goes off
good
screen,
director,
he's like,
you can find
I'm
a
gonna
way to
get
make it
some
work.
milk, and then he comes back and all of a
Well-
sudden he's just got like
Well, no, he does it while they're talking to each other about like story relevant stuff, right? So you can just
No,
have
it's a montage.
it's in a montage.
he's like because he's jumping all around. He's like
He's catching
fishing
fish,
stuff
he's
and
hopping between
yeah.
cliffs. He's basically aggressively being like, I'm not going to talk to you, and you're going to have to follow me through my whole weird routine, and you're going to give up eventually.
right.
Oh, I
He's
'cause
like,
I-
I'm walking through the rain, I'm milking this thing, I'm catching a fish.
Oh, because I thought I remember the scene like he milks a thing, he drinks, and then he growls something at her like
That
you
is
know.
very
I'm
much not what happens.
okay. I guess I remember the scene wrong. So, but
Disqualified.
anyway, I got
Because I think the scene after all he's doing the montage stuff is when she comes and he's like, "Go away!" Right?
Yeah, and then she's
Or is
like,
that
I just
before?
watched your whole routine. You're not busy.
yeah,
Right.
Right.
but it didn't.
I think you
I
could
don't know.
make the I don't hate the argument that it's just a gross out thing. Maybe it doesn't belong in Star Wars. I like it. I thought it was fun, but
I
don't
think
know.
a lot
Yeah,
of Star Wars
feel like-
creatures, their function has been to be gross. Like we have Jabba the Hutt, and he's eating the frog things. We have the Tauntaun, which was like a cute thing, and then its function was to get cut open, and you see all its innards, and you hear the squishy sounds. That was a gross out thing. I feel like it's very like in line with Star Wars to have the grunginess and to have the aliens that are supposed to just gross people out and be weird.
Yeah, I agree. What's your pick, Jen?
My pick was, well, my really subjective pick was I was going to say Wookiees because they just creep me out. I don't like
Wow.
them. But I do think they're like, they work well as an invented creature. So my real pick is the Basilisks, which is the kind of alien that Dexter Jetster is.
Okay.
Oh God!
I just think it's a horrible design. I think it looks so generic. It's just like an ogre face and like 4 arms. And it's like a fat dude. They have his like
Yeah.
beer gut coming
Like
out of
that,
his stained
Mortal
t-shirt.
Kombat.
it's like George Lucas.
Well, it's named devastatingly after George Lucas's son Jet,
You're right.
which I would be so upset about if my dad did something like that. And it's a universe with all these cool characters. Like, name Darth Maul after your son. What 12-year-old boy won't appreciate that? And it's like, oh, I
Darth
named a
Jet, that
character
would've been
after
cool.
you. Here he is. He owns a diner.
He owns a 50s
Yeah,
diner.
50s
Yeah,
diner on Coruscant.
with Flo from Star Tours. Yeah. Oh God, Dexter Jettster was going to be one of my picks for worst character. I screwed up his name at the start.
He's
but
pretty bad.
I
I
hate
just,
Dexter
yeah, I think his
Jettster.
whole species is ugly. But I don't know. I could pick Nemoidians too. I think they're, because the racist angle I think is true. Like, at least with
Mhm.
Toydarians, we don't know that their whole race is like that. But with the
But
Nemoidians,
we can say with
yeah,
confidence that the Nemoidians
pretty
are,
bad. I mean, I
right.
do like their physical design more though. But yeah, I think their function in the movies and their culture and stuff is all just pretty bad.
Yeah, my only argument for yours actually would be like, at least the other two, like Nemoidians and the sea cow, at least those are practical, right?
Mhm.
But like Dexter Jettster, he's just a gross CGI thing. that never works. So Christian, do you have a pick yet?
Listen, I was in between a couple, and when you called on me, I was like not ready to decide on one. But hearing all of yours, I'm ready. So Yoda, no. I'm gonna say the Rathtars.
What?
Okay, so here we go. So there's so many memorable creatures in Star Wars that you only see for like a second. Some of them are just in the background. Some of them are just featured for a moment, and you're like, "Wow, that's really cool." And then sometimes you find out more about them. Sometimes you don't. Whatever. But you always get an impression from them. Now, fast forward to The Force Awakens. You have a 20-minute scene featuring one species, and you have to see a lot of them. And it's a big action set piece. So what do? You make a undistinguishable, unrecognizable blob that is just, what is it? It's just tentacles and a mouth and like eyeballs maybe, or like I don't know what those things are, but like it's just like boring. Like you see it for a second, it's like scary looking, and then you just get bored of it a minute in.
But then would you say that about the Dianoga from the trash compactor?
No, because you only see that for like a second.
Yeah, but the Rathtars can't be blamed for the length of their scene.
I can't. I'm not. The Rathtars, I don't think we're in the writer's room.
You don't know that.
I'm going to say they could have come up with something a lot more interesting. Yeah.
This might be weird, but like, so I'm on the I like Force Awakens, but I don't think it's a very like memorable movie. Like I enjoyed it when I watched it, and I've enjoyed it the once or twice where I rewatched it. But whenever I think of that movie, I've had trouble like remembering like the beginning to end story. But the one scene that will always jump to mind first is the Rathtar scene. Like that's like the number one memorable scene for me from the Force Awakens.
Really?
Oh, I don't like that scene. I always would get popcorn refills when that scene happened. Because I saw that movie a lot in theaters. Like every time.
I saw it like 5 times.
Yeah, and I would always refill my popcorn or go to the bathroom when the Rathtars happened.
It happened shortly after, or not too long after, Han Solo comes back, and it felt like Han Solo and Chewie doing something again, even though it was just like a little one-off thing. It was like, rather than like just them going, oh, it's Han Solo and Chewie, and they're having like banter together. I like that it was like, oh, we got to deal with an alien for a second. It was a very kind of like Men in Black kind of moment for me.
But like another thing about the Rathtars, I like that scene. Don't get me wrong, in a different, light, I can see that scene working a lot better. But like
so the
Rathtars,
designs you don't like, or
the designs also, like the Rathtars seem mindless. Like every time they kill someone, it seems sort of like accidental. Like they're too big for the hallway, and they sort of just grab whatever's in front of them, and for the most part eat it. They didn't eat Finn for whatever reason, like it's just it doesn't seem like they're even a real creature. It seems like they just threw something at the wall and they're just bouncing around doing their thing mindlessly, really.
Well, they're like a raging bull that you just have in a building.
Yeah. But like a raging bull would be more interesting.
A raging bull also doesn't eat people, but will also destroy your property and kill people potentially.
I didn't like the design of the Rathtars, but I like the Rathtars. Just because I feel like giant creature that like mindlessly chases after the heroes is kind of like a Star Wars staple at this point. And I felt like that scene is not a great scene. I don't like Conja Corp or whatever.
Conja Club.
I feel like it's just whatever. I just dislike that scene. But, I don't necessarily dislike the creatures. I think they're fine. I just don't like the design.
I'm the same way. I thought the whole scene was just kind of like a generic, early mid action set piece where they want to have something happen to like make you more alert. And then I didn't think that was that interesting, but I thought for the purposes of the scene, the Rathtars were fine.
Yeah, they're not offensive to me. They're not offensive to me like the Nemoidians are offensive to me.
Well, yeah, so. They are made. I feel like they're made to be offensive. See, if they gave like
Lucas's damage.
Yeah, if they gave the Rathtars like an urban swing like.
Yeah, like they're trash talking with like gangsta slang.
Yeah, they're wearing like gold chains. Like that'd be super cool.
Like a backwards hat and like some
Yeah.
expensive sneakers on its tentacles.
That would have been
Like,
cool.
oh,
Yeah.
Han Solo like steps on one of them, and he goes, "You stepped on my J's, man." Oh
Well, we
man,
can
that'd
hope
be-
for episode 9.
episode 9. Hopefully, they've really gotten out of. They've really lost the vision that they had for the prequels. I think they need to come back with some more racist caricatures. Bring them back.
See, you know what? The Rathtars could be like Tatooine in the original trilogy. Like, that's the thing that comes back. It's not Jakku. It's like, oh, Finn and Rey are like looking at each other and they're like, oh, remember when we fought the Rathtars? Yeah, they're back. But this time, they got like the hip
This time
hop
they're
slang.
smart.
Like they're mad. It turns out they were like sentient and they want to kill Finn and Rey.
Yeah, that's the
For the
opening
lot-
of the movie.
Oh, the Rathtar whose tentacle got chopped off by the door. It's like Darth Maul, where it's back and it has like a prosthetic tentacle now. And it's like, you're going to pay for my arm. And then Rey's like, but you have like 20 arms. And they're like, that's really insensitive. Like, oh, just because I have 20, it doesn't matter that you cut off one? Okay.
Well, it could be that like they're trying to push back against the prequels, and like the Rathtars are actually like a really sensitive race. Like they're not like there's no.
Like it was panicked, or it had been perhaps drugged when it was taken into the
Yeah,
slave trade and was
exactly.
like coming down off some heavy tranquilizers.
But there's no like racist undertones at all. It's like a super like progressive.
Except for the implications
sort
of Han Solo selling them into slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where are the baby Rathtars?
Well, they don't kidnap babies. Han Solo's not that much of a monster.
No, and then in the new movie, I want to see some baby Rathtars.
Oh, okay. Like they're getting revenge for their parents. It's like a little Anakin Rathtar. He's got his Jansport backpack, and he's like, did that bother you guys that Anakin had like a black Jansport backpack? That was always like one of my biggest pet peeves. And it was in a lot of promotional images, and it's just like, there he is in his Tatooine beige robes
Jansport, yeah.
and a black Jansport backpack like you can buy at Target.
Thought it was stylish.
Like the color palette was way off. They couldn't get it in like brown, and they couldn't get like a leather satchel. They're just like, give him a backpack.
That's probably true. Well, they probably just took it off of like one of the PAs, right?
Yeah, like they were keeping wires in it or something. My extension cables. No, it's okay. We just need it for a scene and a couple photo shoots.
Right. Okay. Can we pick a worst creature?
Nemoidians.
Okay.
Yeah, Nemoidians. Is,
All right.
Listen, I think Chinese people have had it too good for too long.
Fuck.
That's Eric agreeing.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
Nemoidians it is.
I'm gonna say we're gonna go with that.
Nemoidians it is. Lock it in. So, the way this works is now that we have all of our worst topic choices, we're going to go through and pick what's the worst thing ever. So what's the worst Star Wars thing ever out of these 4 picks?
So we got
Uh,
Nemoidians.
Okay, remind us. Yeah, Nemoidians.
So the first one was we went with Attack of the Clones, I think, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You think, but it is what we went with.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure. Planet, we went with Jakku.
Yeah.
For character, we went with
Yoda?
Maul.
Oh,
And then for creature, we went with Nemoidians. What do you guys
Right.
think is the worst thing ever? I
The
think it's
worst
got to be
thing
Attack
ever.
of the Clones, right?
No.
oh man. Which of these has the least redeeming qualities?
Nemoidians.
It might have to just be Nemoidians. We might have to just double down on that.
Yeah.
Just like
I mean,
how
and I
there's
think
two.
for all the prequel hate we discussed in the first category, Nemoidians are so prequel. Like
That's
they're
true.
so that vibe. It's like bad CGI. Their uselessness to the story. They're like function in this weird political intrigue plot that feels like it's trying to be mature, but they're just like dumb idiots. So
Uh-huh. You're right.
yeah.
They've got everything that the prequels, everything we love about the prequels, wrapped up into little
Mhm.
men.
Little racist fishmen.
Picking the Nemoidians is like symbolic of
Mhm.
the prequels, and I think that's a good call. Can we all agree on Nemoidians?
Yeah.
I'll allow
Okay.
it.
Nemoidians it is. That is the worst thing ever, Nemoidians.
Woo.
Worst things ever.
So, hey, thank you very much for joining us for a very special Star Wars episode of The Worst Things Ever. Jenny, thank you very much for joining us. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Can anybody follow you anywhere, or because I know you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have a YouTube. It's Jenny Nicholson, and I have a Twitter. It's Jenny Nicholson, and those are the two I'm really active with. I have all the different social media, but yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I talk about Star Wars often. I also talk about a lot of other movies and other various topics,
fan fictions,
like bad fanfics,
yeah,
bad movies, a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Well, we hope to have you back again sometime. This was really good. Hey, you can follow us at Twitter at Worst Things Cast.
I don't know, you made it.
Or you can email us at worstthingspodcast@gmail.com. Hey,
yeah, I guess no emails this week.
No.
Shit.
If you disagreed with any of our picks, or if you have any future topics you'd like to see on the show, email us, DM us on Twitter. Hey, rate us on iTunes. It really helps us out. Is there anything else you guys want to plug before we go?
Check out Star Wars.
Yeah, check it out. It's a nice indie film series.
Well, the Solo movie's coming out, so I think we should plug Solo.
You know what?
Will they give me Disney tickets?
That's going to be the most popular Star Wars movie yet, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
So
the buzz is insane.
The buzz around it, and like the merchandise flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
So I feel like we don't even have to mention
car
it, right?
that Han Solo drives around in.
Right. Leet.
I've seen a lot of that merchandise.
Kira, whoever she is, I got a sweatshirt of her the other day because I was so surprised to see that they made one.
Go to Disneyland.
I saw it at Target
everywhere.
and I was just like, okay, I'll get that.
Well,
I just want to get all the Donald Glover merchandise.
Yeah, Donald Glover. All right, cool. Well, yeah, check out Han Solo: A Star Wars Story.
What date? What date does that come out in theaters?
I don't know. All right. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the Worst Things Ever podcast. Hey, you can follow me at Twitter at Zack J. Weiss.
And then you can follow me at Twitter at DressUpDoggy.
And then I'm at the usual spot. Once again, you can follow me at Ricky Bear. Ricky like the name, Bear like the animal. Good night,
like the
folks.
Wookiees.
And may the Force be with y'all.
All right. Good practice. You want to start recording?
Yeah, let's start the real show. Let's make it better this time.